Most cruiser motorcycles get recommended for a reason, but the most popular ones to get recommended are also some of the most overrated. And yeah, a few of them are gonna make you mad, especially the last one, I know for a fact.
So what we're saying is not that any of the bikes on this list are necessarily bad, it's just that some of them happen to be a little overrated. And we're gonna talk about why you may want to avoid some on this list. So the first bike on the list for overrated bikes is one that we have recommended in certain instances, but it's gonna be the Suzuki M109. This is arguably a cool bike. It has giant pistons. It is like almost like the quintessential muscle bike. The problem is that it is quite heavy, quite expensive, and unfortunately, all of that power isn't necessarily usable all the time. You're carrying around a lot of extra heft and you're carrying around a lot of extra power that really isn't going to be suitable for the riding that most people are more than likely to do.
Yeah, and if I recall, it was in the video we were talking about the best cruiser motorcycles to buy under $5,000. Right. So the big point for this was that you could get it pretty cheap, and it's a good looking bike. It wasn't so much the usability, it was more just the total aesthetics and like that you could get under $5,000.
Yeah, it's still a great value. If you can find one under the $5,000-ish mark, it's still a tremendous value. However, they get a lot of praise, they get a lot of accolades, but I don't think it is necessarily well-deserved.
Yeah, you gotta knock it down just a pin. It can be a good value without being like the best overall performance.
It's not S tier, it's not A tier, it's maybe B tier as the kids say.
Speaking about the M109R, we said that it is a excessive bike when it comes to power, but not in the usability format.
Right.
Well, we're moving on to another excessive bike. What is it?
So this is one that is a bit of a personal favorite. It is the Triumph Rocket 3. 2,500 cc's in the latest iteration, went from 2,300 to 2,500. It is absolutely massive. It is a torque monster. It has an engine with more displacement than many cars now, to be frank. And that alone makes it cool. It is very distinct styling. That alone makes it cool. The problem is very similar to the M109 in that it's just not always terribly usable. It's not very maneuverable, and it is quite heavy because you have a giant car engine hanging off the front of the bike. Yeah, it's going to be a little overweighted, and you do feel the weight. It is cool. There are still reasons to appreciate it, but perhaps if you plan on putting a few more miles on your bike and it's not just kind of like a weekend warrior, I'm not just gonna, ride it 20 miles over the weekend, anything more than that, and you're quickly gonna realize, man, this bike was really overrated. I can't really use all the power. I do really always notice the weight. I do really notice that it got kind of a wide turning radius. So a lot of drawbacks with some of the things that also pretty cool about it.
So it's a good bike if you want to ride it occasionally, every now and then, but it's not an everyday kind of bike.
It fits a very small niche, but long term, I just don't know if it's going to be the right call unless you're just a guy who has a lot of different motorcycles you can ride. And it may not be everybody. Most guys, one or two bikes might be it. And so if that's you, this might not be the one to fulfill all of your motorcycling desires.
Now we have these two bikes that kind of stand out in looks and power and excessiveness overall. Now let's move on to the third one, which is more of a middle ground.
Yeah. So this is going to be the Kawasaki VN900, very popular bike. They made about 1 billion of them, and I'm specifically referring to the VN900 Classic. I'm actually a real big fan of the custom. I think it stands out amongst everything else in its class, to be frank. But the standard VN900, the classic model, though it is a good, cheap bike, it is still fairly bland. So if you can get a used one for a very low price, I'd say absolutely go for it. It's going to be fairly reliable. You're going to be able to find accessories for it. They're quite plentiful. The problem though is that if you just spent a little bit extra money, you could probably get a bike that's either going to be more comfortable or makes more power or that has a better seating position. You're going to be able to find a much better bike for just a little bit more money. So if you are getting a fantastic deal on one, you're probably making the right move. But if you're paying close to retail, I'd probably look at a lot of other models before I'd land on this one.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a good bike to own for a couple years if you get the good deal, and then pass it on to somebody else.
It's just a good motorcycle. It's just a great middle of the road, but you're not going to win any hearts and minds with it.
And I don't think we've said it. It was one of the bikes that we've recommended, and it makes sense why, because what you said, it's a good bike. It's not special, and it's just the average bike. But let's move on to something that does hold a lot of people's hearts special and close.
Yeah, and it's just the Honda Rebel 500. Like, guys, this is not a special bike. This is not the bike that you want to go out there and spend, what are they at? Like eight grand on, 7-8 grand. It's not the one you want. It's very light. It is reliable. It doesn't quite even look like a standard motorcycle, so to speak. So it stands out as a Honda Rebel, which you would think, for a lot of bikes, for a bike to stand out, you're like, oh, wow, it's a really stand out. But I think it stands out for all the wrong reasons. It stands out because it's small. It stands out because it's fairly unique looking when you look at other cruiser models. And because it's just a 500, you're not really getting out of your own way. It doesn't have any sort of presence. I just think that you could spend a little bit less, or maybe even honestly the same amount of money, and just get something that's a much better value, that's much better looking. I think the Rebel 500 is going to leave a lot to be desired. In the same way that traditional Harley guys look down on the Sportster guys, I feel like the Sportster guys are looking down on the Rebel 500 guys. That's unfortunately.
Great. Yeah, and this is one of the bikes that when we've done these best under videos that we've talked about, people always comment. Like, we've never put any Rebel on these lists, and they always comment like, come on, the Honda, it's one of the most reliable, blah, blah. And it's always Honda reliability. Never has anybody talked about like, Honda Rebel looks great. Honda Rebel gives you power. Honda Rebel is a great experience. It's just like, it's a reliable bike. Which is, to its merit, it's a good, easy to work on bike, but there's just not much else to it.
Right. And that's it. There's nothing that enhances like the motorcycling experience. I don't ride a motorcycle to just commute to get to A to B. And if that was the situation, just get a scooter. You're going to get better gas mileage. It's going to be nice and comfy. But if I'm going out riding, I want there to be a visceral experience, and I don't think that the Honda Rebel is going to provide that visceral experience. You can get a much better package for about the same amount of money. It's going to be much more thrilling, make a much better sound, and honestly, I don't think you'd lose any bit of reliability at the end of the day either.
But maybe if we do another video later on about reliable cruisers, this will show up on the list.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think.
Maybe.
But now let's move on to, Harley-Davidson. It's the king of cruisers in America, it feels like.
It is.
What's on this overrated list?
Listen, so I hate to offend all the Harley guys, but the Harley Street Glide, it's going to be the one. It's going to be the one. And this is simply like the value proposition for the Street Glide. I just don't think it's a great value for the amount of money that you spend. It's very under-equipped, and you can get a higher trim level model like a Road Glide, Ultra Classic, you name it. Spend just a hair more, and it comes with far more equipment than what the standard Street Glide's going to have. In addition, even though it has like the traditional Harley look, I also find that traditional Harley look in that particular package is starting to look a little bland because it's looked the same for 55 years. So it's just simply the value. It's not that the engine's bad. They use the same engines as all the other touring lineup, of course, but it's just not a great value proposition. You can get a lot better bike, a lot better equipped bike for the same amount of money.
As we said at the beginning, a lot of these motorcycles aren't bad. We actually like a lot of them. It's just that they're very good at niche circumstances. You're going to have a Honda Rebel that's really good if you just want a reliable bike that's not going to beat you up on the road. And then you've got these big, powerful bikes like the M109R that's really good looking but isn't very usable. You've got the Triumph Rocket 3 that's just got a lot of power, a lot of torque, a lot of fun if you're not driving it every day.
Exactly.
And then you've got the Street Glide that kind of just pales in comparison to its brothers and sisters in the Harley lineup.
Save your money.
Yeah. So if we missed anything, if there's a motorcycle that is even more overrated than these options, let us know in the comments. Most importantly, after you like and subscribe and share this video, get up off the couch and go ride.